Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So for this video right here, I'm going to follow up to my last live stream about Umar Johnson. At the time when I did that live stream, I did not know the particular allegations against Umar Johnson. But since posting that live stream, I saw a video by Afro Svengalis, and in her video, she provided a copy of an order to show cause that raises some of the allegations against Umar Johnson. And after watching her video, I went online and I actually saw an article on the Atlanta Black Star. And in this article, they provide a copy of the order to show cause. So I'm going to go through that. And, before I do so, I'm going to just remind people of what happened so far. Umar Johnson received a notice of hearing, and that hearing is set for January 8th of next year. And at the time, as I said before, I didn't know what the allegations were against him. Also, he received a notice from GoFundMe indicating that they requested information from him. They accused him of possibly not using his GoFundMe in accordance with the terms of the GoFundMe website. So for that reason, they gave him 48 hours to respond to their request for information to confirm that he was in fact using that GoFundMe in accordance with their policy and using it for the stated purposes. So I'm not sure if his account has since been removed at this point. I know that he was using that account to allegedly raise funds for a school. He's been talking about raising funds for the school for a few years now, and no school is in sight. So a lot of people have suspicions about that. So I'm going to go ahead and show this order to show cause and just walk through it before I close out. Here's a copy of the order to show cause. This was issued back in August of this year, and this is my first time hearing about it. So it basically says that he is ordered to show cause why the State Board of Psychology, upon consideration of factual allegations and applicable law, should not suspend, revoke, or otherwise restrict respondents, imposed a civil penalty or impose cost of investigations. And then it goes on to say that the respondent must file an answer to this show cause within 30 days of the order. And apparently he has provided an answer. And here the allegation, it says that respondent has never held authorization to practice a profession or occupation issued by the State Board of Psychology. It also says that at all times pertinent to the factual allegations, respondent did not hold a license to practice as a psychologist in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And then it goes on to list his business address. It accuses him of holding himself out to the public on his website via drumarjohnson.com as a psychologist. Respondent has held himself out to the public on his website as performing psychological services, including psychoeducational evaluations and psychological counseling, in order to lawfully perform the activities referenced in paragraphs 5 and 6 above. In the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, respondent is required to hold a current and active license to practice as a psychologist issued by the board. And then it outlines the cost of the investigation being $2,535.89. It also says that the board is authorized to impose a civil penalty. And it goes on to outline that such a penalty can be imposed for violating a certain statute, and it says that he held himself out to the public by a title of psychologist, psychological and psychology and all that kind of stuff. And it outlines the penalties. It says the imposition, he could possibly face an imposition of a civil penalty up to $10,000 for each and every violation of this act. So that could mean like every time that he's posted on his website that he has this particular license, he could be fined. Possibly every time that he's said that he's a psychologist or a licensed psychologist, he could be fined. And then it also talks about the cost of investigation. He could be charged for those as well of $2,535.89. So that's a summary of the allegations. And for those of you who don't know, Dr. Umar Johnson has held himself out to have a particular license and all that kind of stuff. And if you're not familiar with that, I will post a link in the description box to a video that Afro Svengalis posted, which has audio of him constantly holding himself out to have this particular psychologist license. And also in the allegations, they point out how he's posted this on his website, that he has this particular license. And this is the board of psychology saying that he doesn't have this license, and they're accusing him of holding himself out falsely to have such a license. So those are the allegations. Again, the hearing is set for January 8th of next year, and I will wait until after the hearing to provide further commentary on this issue. At this point, these are allegations. They are very serious allegations, and before I pass judgment and say one way or the other whether or not he has this license, we'll wait and see what the evidence decides. This is going to be a hearing, and it's going to be decided by the evidence and by the testimony. And what he's tried to do is make it be decided through social media by posting all these images, basically trying to tie himself to the civil rights struggle, trying to make connections between him and Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King and Harriet Tubman and Marcus Garvey to drum up emotional responses from people. But in an actual hearing, we will actually be able to see what kind of actual evidence is presented. And at the end of the day, the evidence, the testimony, and the documents that are actually produced are determinative, not the propaganda, not the hype speeches, not the intimidation. Those things will not decide one way or the other. Now, I know that he has accused people of conspiring against him. He's also included charges against his own father, saying that his father and other Negroes or people he calls coons conspired against him to have these charges brought against him. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the evidence. No complaint alone will have him stripped of his rights to practice or whatever. There has to be actual evidence. So we'll see what happens, and I will continue to follow developments in this Umar Johnson matter. So stay tuned. Peace and blessings to each and every one of you. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Peace.